Friday afternoon, when the second hand becomes a blade. The second hand on the wall clock at Harrison Hayes ticked with a dry, mechanical rhythm. 4:58 p.m. Friday. It was the hour when most people are deciding between a margarita or a martini to kick off the night. But here on the 45th floor, the air was thick with tension. Welcome to Emma's desk on the 45th floor of Harrison Hayes, where the office politics are more bitter than a shot of espresso. I'm Emma, a 36-year-old paralegal fighting for survival among the corporate wolves. In this glass cage, talent alone isn't enough to navigate the daily workplace drama. Settle in for today's story time as we uncover the hidden corners of this firm, where every single day can turn into a death sentence, and the only way out is a little quiet corporate revenge. I was buried in my monitor, frantically logging my billable hours to wrap up the week. Suddenly, a shadow loomed over my desk. Richard. He dropped a massive stack of documents, held together loosely by a binder clip, right onto my keyboard. The thud of the paper hitting the desk sounded like a judge's gavel delivering a death sentence. Emma, the Thompson appeal brief. Printed and bound. I need it on my desk by 8 a.m. tomorrow, Richard said, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. Tomorrow morning, Saturday. I snapped my head up, a sharp pain shooting from my neck to my temples. The appellate court deadline isn't until next Tuesday. VIP client. Billionaire Thompson wants to read a hard copy before he hits the links with Arthur Hayes tomorrow morning. He shrugged, adjusting his expensive silk tie. Vivian has already finalized the content and cross-checked the case law. You just need to format it to code, insert the TOC, attach the exhibits, and print. Don't ruin my weekend, Emma. With that, he turned on his heel and headed straight for the elevator. The setup, a cold-blooded trap. I stared at the stack of papers. A chill ran down my spine. Vivian finished it? My gut, honed by over a decade in the trenches as a legal secretary, was screaming bloody murder. I frantically pulled up the internal email. Sure enough, there it was. An email from Vivian to me, CCing Richard. Hi, Emma. I've finalized the Thompson draft. I've meticulously vetted all citations for absolute accuracy. Could you please handle the court-mandated formatting and printing? Have a great weekend. That bitch. This wasn't a handoff. It was a perfect setup. She had locked me into the responsibility with an email witnessed by management. If a single typo made it into the final print, Richard would look at this email and conclude, Vivian did her job. Emma screwed up the check or the formatting and ruined the filing. I grabbed the stack and started flipping through the first few pages. My eyes scanned the lines like a high-speed sensor. Then my heart skipped a beat. On page 12, in the core argument for overturning the lower court's ruling, Vivian had cited a case. State versus Harrison, 2018. My blood turned to ice. I didn't even need to pull up LexisNexis or Westlaw. I remembered State versus Harrison vividly. In 2021, the Supreme Court had officially overruled that decision. Using an overruled case in an appellate brief wasn't just a rookie mistake. It was a massive breach of professional ethics. A judge could disbar the signing attorney, and Harrison Hayes would be staring down a massive malpractice suit from the client. The scapegoat, a race against the clock. And guess who the last person to touch the file would be? The one Vivian so helpfully tasked with formatting? Yours truly. It was 5:15 p.m. I needed the original research memo to see which idiot had greenlit that goddamn case for Vivian. If I could prove she intentionally skipped the legal update, I'd be off the hook. I bolted from my seat and ran straight down to the records room on the 44th floor. The moment I pushed the door open, the acrid smell of printer ink and rancid coffee hit me. Gordon was standing at the vault, keys in hand, about to lock up. Gordon, wait! I yelled, jamming my body halfway through the closing door. I need to pull the original exhibit box for the Thompson case. Now! The records room standoff. Gordon glared at me, his beady eyes narrow and hostile behind thick lenses. He slowly shifted his beer gut forward, intentionally forcing me to step back. Work hours are over, Emma, and you haven't submitted a formal request in the system. Screw the system. This is a direct order from Richard for Arthur's golf game tomorrow morning. If I don't have that box to verify the exhibits, Arthur Hayes will personally have your head on a platter by morning. I knew Gordon loathed being told what to do, but he was a coward when it came to power. He hesitated, his lip curling, then grumpily turned to unlock the vault. 5 minutes. I'm giving you exactly 5 minutes, and I'm flagging you in the system for a security protocol violation. I ignored him and dove into the dark maze of cardboard boxes. By the time I hauled the Thompson box out, my hands were covered in dust. Passing the pantry on my way back, clutching the heavy box, I ran right into Brenda. She was holding a cup of chamomile tea, her eyes lighting up at the sight of my disheveled state. The office snake, Brenda's interrogation. "Oh my, Emma, still here?" Brenda said, her voice dripping with fake honey, though her eyes were as sharp as a scalpel. "I just saw Richard leave. He didn't look happy. Vivian mentioned she'd wrapped everything up. Are you still struggling? Should I text her and see if she missed something?" "No need, Brenda," I said, clutching the box to my chest and forcing a smile. She was fishing for a reaction. One slip-up, one curse word about Vivian, and she'd have a juicy piece of office drama to trade on Monday morning. I'm just double-checking some fine print to make sure Arthur has a flawless copy. Get some rest. I ducked back to my desk and slammed the box down. 6 p.m. The office was a ghost town. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was a cage. I logged onto the shared server to find the original research memo. Nothing. The folder was empty. I frantically typed in search terms. The system blinked back. File does not exist. Vivian had deleted it. She didn't just use the wrong case law. She had intentionally scrubbed the digital trail, so no one would know she'd skipped the due diligence of a legal update. Damn it. Without that file, I had no proof she'd covered her tracks. The Cavalry arrives, Rita and the IT guy. What the hell is with the long face? A curse echoed through the room, followed by the sharp, rhythmic clack-clack of heels. Rita appeared, tossing a salad container and a large iced Americano onto my desk. Her lips were painted fire engine red, her eyes still burning with irritation. "I just had to chew out a baby associate for leaving a dirty coffee cup on my desk," Rita said, plopping down into the chair next to me and glancing at my screen. "What's this? Thompson, good God. Why are you stuck in this shit show on a Friday night?" "Vivian set me up," I whispered, my voice trembling with a mix of rage and exhaustion. I pointed quickly to the botched citation. "She used a dead case, then deleted the damn original memo. She's dumping the formatting on me. If I just stay quiet and do it, the firm gets sued on Monday, and I get fired for failing to perform cross-checks as a senior paralegal." Rita's eyes widened. She let out a long, colorful string of profanities. "That little brat, what are you going to do? Report her to HR?" "I can't. Chloe will demand proof. Without the original file, it'll look like I'm just throwing her under the bus and making things up," I said, clutching my hair. "Then go find Felix." Rita slammed the table. "He's IT. He can dig up anything from the grave." The two of us raced down to the 42nd floor. The IT department was pitch black, save for one glowing corner where Felix sat. He had noise-canceling headphones on, his fingers flying across a screen filled with lines of code. "Felix." I tapped his shoulder hard. He jumped, looking annoyed, but softened when he saw it was me. "The IT rescue, digging up the grave." "Emma, what are you still doing here? The system is scheduled for a maintenance shutdown at 7 p.m. "Felix, I need you to save my life. The Thompson folder. There's a Word file named research_memo_Thompson_V2. It was deleted this afternoon. I need it recovered, and I need the log file showing exactly who hit delete," I said, my words coming out in a frantic rush. Felix knit his brows. "You know that pulling individual log files without an HR mandate is a violation of company policy, right?" "Felix," I leaned over his desk, locking eyes with him. "Last Monday, who covered for you when you crashed the internal email server for 2 hours because you were pirating games? Who told Richard it was a Microsoft server glitch?" Felix swallowed hard. Without a word, he turned back to his keyboard and started typing away. "I've only got 10 minutes before the server auto-disconnects for backup," Felix said quickly. The black screen filled with scrolling lines of white code. My heart hammered in sync with every blink of the cursor. Rita stood next to me, biting her nails and muttering curses under her breath. "Got it," Felix whispered. He clicked. A folder popped up. "Recovery successful. And here's your log file." He quickly printed a sheet and shoved it into my hand. User, V. Kensington. Action, permanently delete. Time, 4:45 p.m. Friday. Good luck, Emma. I have to kill the server now. I held the paper, my hands shaking. Gotcha, you bitch. The counteroffensive, flipping the script. Back on the 45th floor, the clock struck 8 p.m. The entire building was shrouded in silence, save for the low hum of the AC and my laptop's cooling fan. I had the evidence, but taking it to HR would be a rookie move. I had to flip the script the way a lawyer would. "Rita, I need you to help me proof the exhibits. I'm staying up all night to rewrite the entire argument section for part 2. I'm replacing Vivian's garbage citation with Miller versus Davis, 2023. I said, cracking my knuckles. "Are you insane? That's attorney work. You're an assistant." Rita shouted. "If I don't fix it, I'm dead. If I do fix it, I live. And I'm leaving a ticking time bomb." I smiled, the bitter smile of someone who had grown far too used to being stepped on. That night was a war. I downed my third Americano, hauled out every law book, and logged into LexisNexis. Thankfully, it didn't run on the internal server, to rebuild the logic Vivian had butchered. Rita passed out on the sofa by 2 a.m., but not before she helped me flag every single one of Vivian's sloppy typos. The ticking time bomb, a masterclass in payback. By 5 a.m., the brief was complete. It was razor-sharp, logical, and perfect. But the most critical part wasn't the legal argument. On the final page, immediately following the table of exhibits, I inserted a new sheet titled Data Reconciliation Verification Report for Management Review. I laid it out in cold, clinical points. 1. Identified State versus Harrison, 2018, as overruled by the Supreme Court. Citation originally submitted by Associate Vivian Kensington. 2. Original research file permanently deleted from the system at 4:45 p.m. Friday. Log file attached per physical archival requirements. 3. Entire argument restructured and replaced with current case law by senior paralegal Emma to ensure legal safeguard for the client. I printed a hard copy, had it elegantly leather-bound, and placed it prominently right in the center of Richard's desk. But that wasn't enough. To ensure the bomb hit its mark, I tucked the printed log file from Felix right into that verification report and slapped a neon yellow post-it on it, poking out. Attention, Mr. Arthur Hayes, urgent, last-minute legal risk update. Arthur Hayes was a perfectionist and notoriously aloof. He didn't have time for Richard's petty email updates, but he always flipped through the physical exhibits before meeting a VIP client. He would see it, Richard wouldn't be able to bury it, and Vivian would have nowhere to hide. 7:30 a.m., Saturday. I stood by the elevator, looking back at the office. Richard's seat was empty. Vivian's too. They were probably fast asleep, convinced I was obediently cleaning up their mess. The elevator doors opened, and the blinding morning sun hit my face. My body was spent, and my head was throbbing, but deep down, I felt a surge of absolute euphoria. I stepped in and hit the lobby button. "Enjoy your golf game, counselors. The storm hits this afternoon." Ever found yourself quietly cleaning up a total disaster left by a boss or a coworker, only to drop a clinical counterstrike? Tell me your story. Let's bask in that sweet, sweet feeling of payback together. Surviving Friday. The secret of Floor 42. Having survived that nightmare of a Friday afternoon, many people have asked how I managed such a spectacular counterstrike against Vivian. The secret? In this cold-blooded corporate world, talent isn't enough. You need someone who holds the keys to the kingdom. Welcome to Floor 42, the dark domain of Felix, the IT kid who can raise any secret from the dead. But this kind of access can't be bought with a few donuts. It was traded for an underground pact, forged on the night the server network was drowning in ransomware and nearly burnt the entire firm to the ground. Get your espressos ready. Floor 42 and the pact in the shadows is about to be unveiled. And trust me, the real drama is just getting started.